sellouts, the deed done in the dead of night. Notice in the meantime that the Federal Reserve says the so-called recovery, there never was a recovery, but whatever blip there was, is now running out of steam, said the Federal Reserve this week. And the big tragic emergency, China is about to surpass the United States in manufacturing output. This would mean that the U.S. is no longer the top manufacturing nation by most measures for the first time in about 110 years, the U.S. having passed Great Britain about 1890. We would be losing that status. That is a tragedy. There's where you need a national state of emergency and a national mobilization to do something about that. And instead we get this garbage from this dysfunctional Congress, essentially all puppets of Wall Street lobbyists, including Scott Brown, who drives a truck. We had other people. They wear plaid shirts. They have motorcycles. They have horseshoes, jelly beans, pork rinds, and they all vote for Wall Street. So wake up, tea groupies. The cultural populists are running rings around you. You're all useful idiots for a bunch of Wall Street puppets. Now let's look at the Volcker Rule. This was weak to start with. The Volcker Rule essentially says that if you're a bank, you cannot indulge in proprietary trading. Well, this obviously seems to be a step in the right direction. It's very weak, and it's gotten even weaker. It's basically gotten to the vanishing point. What these zombie banks would then say is, well, a lot of our activities are market making. Some of it we do for our own account, but some of it we do as a service to our clients. So we're out there doing the market making. So there's a very blurred line between those. And as Blanche Lincoln pointed out, the Volcker Rule does nothing at all about the market-making activity, which is what you heard coming from Lloyd Blankfein during the longest day of hearings on the Goldman Sachs scam. He talked about market-making, so there's already a blur. Then there's the question of what constitutes proprietary trading. Well, the deed done in the dead of night is that they have completely punted on that. This has now been relegated to the regulators, that is to say Sheila Bair, Mary Shapiro, and a bunch of other either weak entries or out-and-out Wall Street shills who will now decide what proprietary trading is. It will not have the force of law. And again, what we need are bright-line prohibitions, illegal, banned, with penalties, if possible, criminal penalties. None of this. The other question was, how much of the bank's capital can it use in the hedge fund hyena area? Because a zombie bank, of course, is bad in terms of risk-taking and speculation, but a hedge fund hyena operation is even worse. So there was a question of the capital limits, and some of these had been proposed by Kanjorski, the head of one of the House subcommittees. You remember him from the Kanjorski moment back on that Thursday when the banking system was indeed about to collapse in September of 2008 after Lehman Brothers blew up. Kanjorski had wanted to limit this. Scott Brown, who drives a truck, came in and diluted that one too. So now it's 3%. It was supposed to be 3% of shareholder capital or shareholder equity. Now it's 3% of Tier 1 capital. That means they can speculate more. This is a gift to State Street, Bank of Boston, number 19 in the country, a gift to Bank of New York Mellon. That very sinister Mellon family name on it says it all. Kanjorski, very upset. The bill is gutted. Then, of course, there's a bunch of bureaucracy. It's going to be feckless. It's going to be captured. It's captured already. Some of it is located in the Federal Reserve. Therefore, it's already owned by Wall Street, lock, stock, and barrel. We're told that there's a systemic risk council. Yeah, the Systemic Risk Council and the Consumer Financial Protection Agency has a seat on the board of the Systemic Risk Council. This is all nonsense. This is what adds expensive bureaucracy, labyrinthine Byzantine regulations that don't amount to anything. We need simple bans. Credit default swaps are illegal. No more. Collateralized debt obligations, outlawed. We have nothing like this. So this is a complete fraud. Now, if you watch this, the Republicans are exercising a new dimension of Orwellian doublethink. We have them coming out saying Derivatives are important tools. They allow companies to manage their risk. The Republican charade is to pretend that derivatives are used by manufacturing companies that are the end users, the end consumers of raw materials, be they metals, lumber, pork bellies, whatever it is. They pretend that you're dealing with an industrial economy in which the company that's buying a raw material and then making it into a finished commodity has a certain fluctuation risk during the time of manufacturing. Now, that's what hedging has usually been described as historically. So they pretend that these are end users who are using derivatives to hedge. That's not what they are. 1.5 quadrillion of derivatives in the world, 1 quadrillion of those derivatives in the United States. It's not that these are hedgers and end users. These are speculators. They're hedging nothing. They're not hedge funds. They're speculation funds. So the Republicans have a whole charade about that. They say, oh, derivatives have been unfairly demonized. And then we get the real double think. We get Saxby-Chambliss and these other clowns coming up and saying, well, nobody could claim that derivatives played a key role in the crash of September, October 2008. Wait a minute. A little matter of AIG to start with. Credit default swaps from the hedge fund in London, $182 billion to be paid by the U.S. taxpayer. Most of that money you will never get back, whatever Tiny Tim says and whatever Elizabeth Warren says about it. At the time, she's also toothless and feckless when it comes to this stuff, right? She's looking for the middle road, sort of the petty bourgeois good government approach to derivatives. There is none. You got to ban them. You got to ban as many as you can. Ban credit default swaps, ban super CDOs, CDO squares, synthetic CDOs, and so forth. We've also got the Republicans essentially claiming that these are useful tools, that they help the economy to manage risk. Dodd stressed that there are $600 trillion in the over-the-counter derivatives market. Still, $600 trillion. Now, most of that it's not all credit default swaps. A lot of it is CDOs, a lot of it other kinds of designer derivatives. But there was no clarity, really, in terms of what had happened in 2008. And the Republicans have been able to go along with this idiotic theory that this was all a subprime mortgage event to be blamed on poor people, rather than a derivatives crisis, which goes right to the heart of J.P. Morgan, Citibank, Bank of America, and so forth. And as Harkin once said during the debate, as the Republican arguments would make sense if you think that a major hedge fund qualifies as a Main Street business, then the Shelby proposals make sense, because Shelby was attempting to open the door to anything in the way of derivatives, and that's basically what has happened, although not in the form desired by Shelby. So the money power of Wall Street, the derivatives monsters rule. Back in a minute.